Krásný den, milí přátelé, já vás tu vítám a otvírám spolu s vámi náš první den Ikigai festivalu. My jsme si pro vás s Ikigai koučkama připravili pořádnou dávku inspirace. Budeme si spolu povídat o Ikigai, o procesu, o jeho přínosu a hlavně o tom, jak se uvolnit. A já už tu vítám hosta dnešního dne, kterým není nikdo jiný než úžasný Ken MOGI, japonský neurovědec a autor knihy o Ikigai, vědec, který se dívá na svět dětskýma očima. Kena MOGIho pro vás vyspovídala Ikigai koučka Nikki Melia. Tak pojďme na to.
皆さんこんにちは。メリアニコラです。今日、ケニチロモギケニチロさんに
Yeah.
聞いてもらいます。So, don't worry, we speak in English today. But
I'm impressed by your Japanese. When did you learn it?
I spent a year in Japan. I studied Japanese in Germany at a university, and 2005, 2006, I spent a year in Japan.
Wow.
And and speaking Japanese, I would say now, or being in touch with Japanese is actually it's part of my Ikigai. I just feel so special way alive. It was always like that. I don't know why. It's just something which makes me feel so good and so alive and so connected. So I would say this is one piece of my Ikigai.
So I'm in Tokyo, and it's 5 p.m. now, and yeah, everything is really great. We have a really great summer here, so I hope you will come back sometime to Japan. And
I want to pack my kids and show them Japan, because it was a very special experience. And maybe you bring a little bit of Japan to us today. I believe.
I will do that. Yeah.
So great. So I'm so happy to introduce you. Ken MOGI. Ken MOGI is a neuroscientist. He's a writer. He wrote 100 books, which I feel is crazy. He is a broadcaster. And one of the books is very important for us today and very important for our topic, our interview. The book was translated into, I think, 29 languages, also into English and into Czech. And English, the book has few titles. It is the Little Book of Ikigai, or I say it in Czech now, Ikigai, japonská cesta k nalezení smyslu života. And this book and the topics and the 5 pillars is something we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
I introduce one more thing, and then I have a question to you before we start with the pillars. In Europe, Ikigai got well known through the Venn diagram, which we feel it's a very beautiful way to get to know yourself and maybe to find your Ikigai. But it's not actually the Japanese Ikigai. So your book, your 5 pillars, is a beautiful way to connect us Westerners also to the Japanese culture, to the philosophy, and to the way of Ikigai. So my first question to you is, what is your Ikigai, and how would you Ikigai, describe to someone who lives far away from Japan, which you do probably many times?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. In a very simple form, I always say that Ikigai is what you get up in the morning for. And in my case, I go for a run every morning, so running would be my Ikigai. But at the same time, that's a very small Ikigai. But at the same time, I have my research. Right now, I'm at my university, and that's tennis court over there, and this is where I do my research. And of course, doing research is my Ikigai. And then you have curiosity, discovery, sense of wonder, and so on. So I think, for many people, Ikigai is a spectrum of things rather than just one, specific thing. And I suspect you have your Ikigai too, right? What is your Ikigai, Nikki?
Oh, my Ikigai is speaking foreign languages, being in a different culture. My Ikigai is dance. My Ikigai is just being in nature and writing, talking to people, so many things. I feel a big part of my life feels like it's Ikigai. So yeah.
Interesting. In Japan traditionally, although we are a secular nation, and many people don't believe in any organized religion actively, but traditionally, Japan had this idea of 8 million gods, which is infinity. So, that translates well into this multitude of ikigai in your life. And, it's not something like 10 commandments. I mean, you need to do this, you need to do that. We don't have that. We have this really, you should know, Nikki, because you were in Japan for 1 year. We have a really liberal approach when it comes to life's purposes. So somebody can be a geek, otaku, to study some manga or anime character. Somebody can do cosplay, but yet others can dedicate their whole life to help others. And that's what actually many people do. So, you can have any ikigai as long as you enjoy it. And I think that's one of the wonderful aspects of ikigai.
Enjoyment. I think this is so beautiful, and I would like to pick up there because I feel when we talk, we are so serious here, right? Like in Europe, like we take ourselves so serious and life so serious, and also when we start something, we want to achieve things. Like many people feel like also like the purpose of life, the meaning of life, find the art of life. Okay, I have to build something big. So many times we start, and I think that itself is not bad. It's just having big goals and walking towards something. It's beautiful. But I experience like a lot also in the coaching or with my friends or just with an environment that we feel like we start something and we feel it has to be big. It has to be something big. I have to achieve something. I have to be something. And like in those steps, there are not full, this fulfillment and joy gets lost because it's just this, okay, it has to be big. You need to have big goals, where I feel we could already dive then into your pillars of Ikigai and of like the Japanese art of Ikigai is and what the Japanese culture is, bringing us and teaching us. And one of the first steps is actually starting small, right? So one of the pillars. And I remembered when I was in Japan, I had a really, really hard time. It was something I had a really troubled time. And one senior person encouraged me and just told me, Nikki, just go one step every day. And that became my strategy for life, just going this one step every day. And I had to think about it today because when I was like, oh, Ikigai, just starting small, doing small steps, the other pillar, I was like, oh yeah, I brought that to Japan for my life. So I would like to give you space to start talking about the pillars and maybe about what is big and what is small.
Yeah, sure. So I think starting small is something very important, and we in Japan we don't make fuss about things. I mean, there's this craftsmanship mindset where you don't actually talk big, but you actually do what you have to do every day of your life. But in some strange ways, that can bring you very far. For example, I interviewed Hayao Miyazaki, who is, of course, the anime film director of My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away and so on. And I interviewed him for NHK, Japan's national broadcaster. And he doesn't talk big. I mean, he never talks about, his big projects or anything. I mean, every day of his life, he just go into the studio and draws, pictures and which would turn into this wonderful animation films that he has made. So Hayao Miyazaki always starts small with his job, but in the end, of course, he accomplishes something really, really wonderful. So I think that's a particular Japanese way of achieving things. And, I think it's everywhere, not only Hayao Miyazaki, but it's in the ethos of Japanese life, as you probably found in while you're in Japan yourself, Nikki. So, yeah.
1 year.
1 year. Well, 1 year should be
1
enough.
year it was just, I just felt like I should stay longer.
Yeah.
So, but I live actually in Düsseldorf, and there's a huge Japanese community. So I have a lot, it's big diaspora in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Japanese,
Yeah.
so close to. So I'm connected to I learned a lot about Japan also in Düsseldorf in the Japanese households.
But, so I have a question. I have, because in Japan, I think there's this cultural background where people don't trust someone who talks big. I mean, the Japanese people love somebody who just goes about his or her business without saying too much. I mean, and just accomplishing it. But I don't know about in Europe, but in the United States, big-mouthed people. I mean, these people who make noise sometimes, appreciate it. So there are these cultural differences, and probably Europe is somewhere in between. I don't know.
Yes, I think also geographically, like this is like, yes, in between. There are people talking big, but I feel like many people are then looking, okay, is there something behind this talking? Because talking itself can, draw attraction, but actually doing and achieving is something where we go like in the end. But I think we are, not United States, but we are not Japan. So it's kind of this pressure of like, I need to have goals. I need to have big goals. I need to achieve something. I need to be somebody. Kind of people are not, they feel like it's not enough when they are themselves. And where I feel like Ikigai is actually really helping you. And that will be the next step. This is releasing yourself, like realize, like feel like connecting to, wow, I'm actually enough. And I can do those small steps. So,
Nick, another thing is that the way the human brain is configured, we don't know our goals until we have done it. I mean,
I didn't know that.
I mean, if you look back on your life, I mean, you actually don't know what your destination is. So, it's actually from neuroscientific point of view, goals are something like the bookkeeping system, something that you do after you've done something. And so, if you look back on your life so far, you feel as if you have been trying to achieve something, but that something might actually be something that comes only after the event. And for example, I think this is a really wonderful example, because I never thought that I would write a book on Ikigai until 17 when I published it. And 1 year before that, I thought about it and I started to work on it. But up to then, I never thought of writing a book on Japan in English. And, there you are. I mean, but looking back, I felt that, I was born in Japan and I've been here most of my life, but I went to the UK for 2 years to do my postdoc, and I've been to many European cities myself for conferences and so on. But if you look back, I never thought of, representing my country for the leadership in the world. So I didn't actually, aim to write that book. That book was a kind of a, summing up of my life until that time. And I don't know what would happen in 5 years from now and 10 years from now. So I suspect that it'll be the same for you.
Yes.
So, and I think that's the way goals work, actually. I mean, you can realize your goal, you can perceive your goals only after you have done a certain amount of works and gone through some experiences.
This is so amazing. Could you just also like say, how was it? Like how did the book come to you in a way, just when you did many small steps to the moment that you decided I will write a book, and then many more steps, small step writing the book, right? It was word by word, but yeah, how did it happen? Like, you felt like there's the experience and there's this message I feel like sharing, or
when I was a young guy, I always wanted to learn a lot from Europe. I actually learned some German words, German language, and I used to read Goethe, and I used to read Nietzsche, and then I gradually realized that if I could do something good for the world, it would be through making a case about my own culture. I mean, something that I've known for so many years. Like it's like telling what kind of person your mother is. I mean, you have known your mother for many years. You know her good points and shortcomings, maybe. But when you make a case about your mother, you need to have a objective viewpoint, right? That's what I did with my book on Ikigai, because Ikigai is something like the air, and Ikigai is something like the Japanese people have been taking for granted for so many years, and we never suspected that Ikigai would be something of fresh value for people in the world, because it's something so natural, and so. I think we take some, external view to realize that kind of thing, and that's I think that's how I came to write the book.
And the pillars. So how did they come to you? So you had.
This is a really funny confession to make. I didn't come up with the idea of 5 pillars until after I finished the book. Because I don't actually. I'm not an organized person. I mean, I just write the book as they are. But at the end, I felt that it was not my editor. I mean, I just felt that it would be great to have some tangible frameworks, if you like, to present the book. So after I went through all the texts, I kind of analyzed what were the 5 main points in the book. Then I came back with the 5 pillars. So it was after I finished the entire text that I came up with the 5 pillars.
It's amazing. You actually confirm this after this experience. You could actually see the put the pillars there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So wow, this is so cool. Let's go to the next pillar, to releasing yourself. Scary in Europe, right? Even hearing that, it's just like, oh my gosh, what does it mean?
I don't know if I'm definitely sure that it's published in Germany. I came.
It's in German. It's in German. It's in Czech, and yeah, it is. I just checked.
I wrote a second book this year. It's called The Way of Nagomi. Nagomi is this idea about harmony and so on. And I have a really funny anecdote. I had a researcher friend, Anna, from Berlin, and she came to visit me, and we went to a izakaya place. Izakaya is where you have sake and mainly really. Oh, you should know izakaya, right? I mean, so we went there. It was a Friday night, and people were releasing themselves. I mean, company employees, letting their hearts out, and complaining about the bosses, and telling woos about their families, and my wife is this and all these things. And Anna was amazed because she said in Germany it was inconceivable. I mean, the people in your company are rivals, she said. They were competing to get promotion and so on. So Anna said that in Germany, you never show your weakness to your colleagues. And
to your colleagues. You can do something else.
I think in Japan, there's this culture, officially, you say certain things, but in your company or when in public space, but there's this culture of letting yourself out. Once you start drinking some alcohol, beer, and then there will be a total change of mode, and I think that's really typical of Japanese culture. So what Anna said, this German researcher from Berlin, she said that because of the fact that German people didn't have an opportunity to release themselves, they were really stressed, and they are sometimes burned out, and that's really huge problem in Germany. And so I wrote about it in my second book, The Way of Nagomi, my time with Anna in the izakaya place in Tokyo. So I think releasing yourself is one of the ways that the Japanese people go along with their lives without stress and too much stress, and because we can release ourselves from time to time.
So sorry, would release be distress, like get rid of stress, or is it like, why do you feel it's so important, like as a pillar?
Because it also has to do with creativity, because in Japanese we call it honne. Honne is the true heart, and tatemae is social politics. So we all talk about honne and tatemae, and honne is true heart. And the way Japanese anime and manga are created, they are about the true hearts, honne of Japanese people. So, in Europe, I think there's this culture that once you are grown up, you are not supposed to behave like children. Although there is an inner child in you, if there is an inner child in you, you are not supposed to let it out. But here in this country, you can do that. And if you go to a karaoke place, this is a really typical Japanese invention. You can sing, even if you sing badly. Because the most important thing is releasing yourself. Enjoy yourself. So I think that's a really great creative energy coming out of people, releasing yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think it's coming in Europe slowly and actually inner child and playfulness is really starting to be the topic. Like, oh, what happened to the inner child? Like, let's invite inner child again. So it's so nice you're talking about it.
Nick, you said you help other people releasing themselves, right? Letting themselves. So when you say that, you are saying that in Europe, many people are finding it difficult to release themselves, letting themselves out.
Yeah, just when I told just taking life so serious, and I have the responsibility, and so I have actually this point, I am adult now and I cannot be the kid. I myself had a huge point when I really cried myself out when I realized, oh, I really stopped playing, because we have a song about you have to stop playing, when you're not a child anymore. So it's so it's not natural. I feel it's natural when we are kids, and through the responsibility and what we have to do, and creating the life, having those goals, it's for many people, they get stressed, stuck, disconnect from the body. It's and it's difficult to release. You need the body to release, right? And this Japan, this singing, this karaoke, in Europe, nobody would sing if they don't sing good, right? So it's just really, it was crazy to me. It was like, wow.
So I think, maybe these two serious people can have some helping of Ikigai to help them release themselves, and that would be great.
Yes, definitely. So release themselves, such a beautiful point. Harmony and sustainability. So is the way of Nagomi then also more about this point?
Definitely. As you know, Japan has the longest running hereditary monarchy. The emperor, imperial household is 125th emperor. I sometimes forget, but anyway. So, of course, we had many difficult historical events, Second World War, and Meiji Restoration, Japan's modernization, and so on. But through all these times, somehow the imperial household managed to keep, its monarchy. And the reason why I think is all about harmony and sustainability. And in Japan, I think I wrote about it in the book. There's the world's oldest construction company called Kongogumi, which I think dates back to the 8th century or so. I mean, so they have been building temples and shrines and so on. And the same company is, thriving today. And, you see all these different examples, like the tea masters, tea ceremony masters, their households, most of them are more than 400 years old. And I have a friend who is master on flower arrangement, a Japanese flower arrangement, ikebana. And that house, the house of Ikenobo, I think it's actually much older than the tea master houses. I mean, something like I don't know, maybe 800,000 years old. So these examples, I'm not saying all the things are necessarily good. But the fact that they have been able to sustain the system for so many years tells something about the Japanese culture. And in Europe, I know there are many great traditions, but in Japan, probably if something is really great, then we have this wisdom to keep it going for hundreds of years. And I think that's a really wonderful thing, probably in this age, because we have this global warming problem and energy crisis, and we are wondering how we can make our lives sustainable. So I think that's really important to have this kind of Ikigai philosophy of life, where you can have a motivated, assertive life without, being short-lived or, being running out of energy. Because, to be honest, I don't think the way of Donald Trump, I'm not being political here, but, the way Mr. Trump has been pushing for the American economy is sustainable for 100 years, or for that matter, Mr. Boris Johnson in the UK. I think what he was doing is sustainable for, I don't think it's sustainable for hundreds of years or so. So everything is more subdued. It's not so dramatic, but at the same time, it's more sustainable. And I think there's a lesson to be learned here. We don't have to make our lives so dramatic or, we can keep a low key, low profile, and make it sustainable.
Is this a secret to sustainability and also in a personal life? So what would you say, what's your way of sustainability in your life?
Well, that's interesting. So Nikki, this is interesting because you said you are self-employed, and also I in my case I work for Sony Computer Science Laboratories, which is fundamental research lab funded by Sony, and this is the University of Tokyo, my alma mater. But I am a visiting faculty here, so I teach graduate students here. So this is a University of Tokyo. Maybe you can see the tennis court.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I see the nature, and then
so this is typical university scene. And so I have all these affiliations, but at the same time, I am more or less self-employed. I write books. I am broadcaster, so I appear on national television and radio stations and so on. But if I look back on my career, the centers of activities have shifted from time to time because of the internet. The way people communicate with each other is different. So you should know, Nikki. So if you are self-employed, unless you have a diverse basis for your activity, your business doesn't become sustainable, right? So in other words, sustainability is diversity. How to embrace a diversity of things. I think that's the key for sustainability. And maybe you talk about something I talked about myself, so maybe you can talk about yourself. So how over the years has your focus of activity shifted?
Well, I just my husband used to tells me like you're a drama queen. So I have a lot of drama in my life. So, but in a way, I'm. Yeah, well, I had this passion like in things in life, and then I just approached them, and like also for my work, like me being interpreter and translator and spending many years just doing those many steps to become one, and then I became a mother. I gave birth, and everything changed for me, and then the focus of also of our sustainable living just changed because I had different priorities. I didn't want to be traveling all the time. And I realized I need to release more, and then I teach more people, to release. This is something I am good at, and I really want to, give this value to my life and my family and my kids. So in a way, I feel sustainability is for me in one way just also kind of going with the development of my life. And in a way, I realized it's staying playful and creative, like with, I don't know, I cannot fix myself and I have the security for the end of my life, but I am just playing with life and I'm just trying out, and with something worse, I give it there more energy, but I'm open to try something else or just do those adjustments when something happens. So, and then I feel it's kind of my main source, just I can... Yeah, I'm playful in a way, just figuring out that the different ways how to approach and still stand for what I stand for, or change it because it kind of changed. I changed, my life changed, so I stand for something else. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, so I think you have revealed the most important aspect of harmony and sustainability, which is to embrace changes. I mean, some people are so afraid of changes. They try to stick to the same principle or some formalities and so on, but that's not the Japanese concept of harmony and sustainability. Things have changed over the years, and the way, for example, I talked about the house of tea masters and flower arrangement masters. The way they teach their disciples have changed, of course, over the years. So unless you embrace changes, you cannot be sustainable for many years. So, I like your way of talking about life changes, because, that's the only way we can be sustainable. I mean, we should welcome our changes, and, by that, way, by that road, I think everybody can become sustainable, because you can build harmony with your changes, and I think that's the only way. And as you know, in Japan, there's this really wonderful culture of appreciating the ephemeral. I mean, you went to Hanami festivity. I don't know, when cherry blossoms come out.
Yeah. Hanami is so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and so everything is about change in this country. So yeah.
I just gotta thank you so much, and I feel also in this Ikigai coaching, or in this life coaching, like guiding like people, this is the point. Also, just realizing, that there is a change, and embracing this change, and like getting to know this also this the person we became, and the way we can walk through life or work or do those steps like now. So I feel this is one of the processes, like people are also after the Ikigai coaching, like this process, how we call it, they leave with this feeling, oh yeah, I know, I see better who I am right now. I can see and embrace better the change that what happens. So it's so beautiful. We have two more. I think the time is almost over, right? How is it? We have you have a few more minutes that we
Sure.
So, joy of little things.
Okay.
And being here
Well, I should say that every morning I wake up and I make myself a cup of coffee, and I have it with a piece of chocolate, and that's a really small a joy. It's a joy of little things, and you know, I know. I think you know. I mean, in Japan, Japan is a country of joy of little things. I mean,
Yes.
and
Detail and little things.
detailed, and they are not grand, but they are really that would make your day. I mean, so of course, over the years we would like to achieve something, but for the time being, to start the day, we just need something that would give you a little joy of life. And in my case, it's a cup of coffee and a piece of chocolate. What is it in your case, Nikki? What is,
Yeah, movement. I probably I love, if I have a little dance in the morning or go in the balcony and smell the nature. This is, and I like my coffee, then enjoy my coffee. This is, those, those are things cold shower too actually makes me happy.
okay, makes sense.
So, and later good food. So yeah, my life used to be different. I didn't have it. Now I feel like, those small things, like joy from many small things, from the morning till evening, just, catch, few breaths is also very delicious, right? And so those things are kind of, I really love them. But I used to be the person, I had, those Apple Watch, and they told me sometimes, breathe, and I was like, don't have time for breathing, I have to work. So, and then I was almost burned out, right? So it's
so I think people want to be happy, and for that purpose, I mean, people often want to make a lot of money, or to be famous, or to have a gorgeous life. And maybe you've noticed, but in Japan we don't have that kind of celebrity culture. I mean, we don't have this notion like in the States that unless you become somebody like Paris Hilton, or I don't know, you cannot be happy. I mean, we don't have that notion. So on average, some people are crazy, like in many other countries. In Japan, on average, I think the Japanese people are satisfied with the joy of little things, and that is great, because that will be your basis of life, right? And if you can go beyond that, that would be great. I mean, I'm not saying that there are not rich people in Japan. I mean, there are some rich people, but that is a bonus, extra bonus, and you don't have to be, filthy rich. I mean, you just have to have a set of things that would surely make you joyful. And
you touched on a point which I feel is so important, that if we learn, it's also, I feel, something we can learn to find joy, relearn to find joy in small things, and then that gives us really beautiful basis for our life, like foundation. And usually also, if you feel like doing more on this foundation, it's much easier to build things while enjoying, and not doing, and I will be happy when I'm done, but then I'm burnt out and family is gone, and I don't know what, if I overdo it, but that would happen. It's just like not looking for what's there, but starting, and now we're going now and here. It probably goes into the fifth pillar, like being in here and the now. What does it mean for you?
Yeah, I mean, so it's probably the ultimate goal in Ikigai. I mean, to be in the here and now. I mean, if you can achieve that, then everything else follows. And I really admire Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who conceived this concept of the flow state in psychology. I mean, if you are concentrated on something very deeply, you forget the passage of time, you forget yourself, and you are with one. You are one with what you're doing. That is called flow, FLOW, and it was conceived by this wonderful Czech-born American psychologist Mihai sent Mihai. And, it's about this wonderful concept of being in the here and now. And, when you're doing something difficult, for example, I interviewed many Olympic athletes from this country on my TV shows, and they said that when they are breaking world records and when they are winning gold medals, they don't know what's happening. I mean, they are just in the moment and they are not stressed out. They are just relaxed and they are there just doing it. And before you know it, they have won the gold medal or broken the world record. And that's a really wonderful example of being in the here and now. And I think that would be the ultimate pillar of Ikigai. If you are in the here and now, you can be happy and you can perform at your best, quality. And never forget. And you said you have kids. I mean, kids are always like that. I mean, kids are always in the here and now. They are always in the flow. You noticed, right? But when we grow up, we forget to be in the here and now. So.
Yes. Well, thank you. Do you have one more thing you would say
sure.
to our to the people who will listen to the interview, to our viewers who, what would you encourage them with? Like from your heart, like a message from your heart to their heart, like where to start when you want to find your Ikigai?
Yeah. I think the ultimate goal in your life is to find peace with yourself. If everybody is unique, everybody is uniquely talented, and everybody is uniquely challenged. So I have my shortcomings and I have my limits, but I also have my unique personality. So I think the ultimate goal of your life is to come to peace with yourself. And if you can do that, I think you have achieved the greatest Ikigai in your life. To accept yourself, and please try to accept yourself. And if you can accept yourself, then you can accept others too. I mean, all these different people in the world. So I think that would bring a really peaceful condition into our society. And fingers crossed, I hope we can approach that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful time and interview. Ken, I wish you also all the best for today and every other day, and I hope to see you again.
Tak to byla pořádná dávka inspirace, co říkáte? A budeme v tom rozhodně pokračovat. Tentokrát jsme se zeptali nás Ikigai kouček na to, jak vnímáme Ikigai, jaký poklady jsme našli na cestě ke svému Ikigai. A taky jsme pro vás připravili pár tipů, jak se uvolnit. Jak bys vysvětlila, co je to Ikigai svojí babičce?
Asi bych jí objala, řekla bych jí děkuju a že jí mám ráda a pak bych jí řekla, že tohle je Ikigai.
Je to nejenom jako vědět a znát svůj smysl, ale pro mě slovo Ikigai je i o nějakém jako hlubokém prožitku, že vlastně cítím, že ty činnosti, které dělám, ať už jako pracovní nebo osobní, nebo vlastně i moje jako koníčky, tak že je vlastně něco, co mi opravdu jako hluboce dává smysl, co mě naplňuje, co mě těší, co si užívají i lidi vlastně okolo mě, prostě smysl.
Hele babi, to je jako když ti přijedou na víkend děti, vnoučata. Najednou je všude víc života, radost, všechno je tak jakoby víc v pohybu. A ty, když se zastavíš a podíváš se na ně, tak cítíš, že to má smysl. A že tvoje existence má smysl, protože ty děti tady bez tebe nebyly. A jasně, že to není pořád sluníčkový. Ale i přesto v sobě vnímáš, že je to v pořádku. A tohle to je, babi, pocit, když máš svoje Ikigai.
Já bych řekla mý babičce, která byla velmi aktivní žena, že to je to, když děláš něco, co pramení z tebe. A zároveň to něco přináší i lidem okolo tebe. Že máš dojem, že jsi konečně dosedla na to místo, který si tak někde dlouho tušila. A najednou na něm sedíš a teď vidíš, za tebou chodí další a ptají se tě a zajímají se a že vlastně přitahuje to, že ses najednou našla na tom svém místě. A myslím, že by se to mý babičce líbilo.
Ale já bych jí řekla, babi, víš co, dneska jdu natáčet rozhovor a vlastně je takový jako normální a možná bych se měla oblíknout a tak jako konvenčně, ale já mám chuť si oblíknout tyhle ty nádherné šaty, ve kterých se cítím naživu, ve kterých mi je dobře, ve kterých mám chuť udělat ten další krok a s někým se bavit, takže si radši oblíknu tyhle šaty.
Babi, pamatuješ si, jak jsi se v 80 začala učit italsky? Jak ti to dávalo smysl, bavilo tě to, naplňovalo? Nadchla si proto ostatní, například mě, a mohli jsme se o tom bavit hodiny a hodiny. To bylo Ikigai.
Řekla bych jí, babi, prostě Ikigai je to, co já žiju. Je to můj život, jsem to já. A je to vlastně všechno, co se v mém životě odehrává. Ať už si představíš to hezký, nebo i třeba to smutnější, prostě veškerý činnosti, a zkrátka fakt jako to všechno, ten celý náš život, to je Ikigai. To je pro mě Ikigai.
Tak pro mě je to rozhodně důvod, proč se těšit na každý den, na každou maličkost, která mě těší. A hodně se mi líbí taková profláklá definice, důvod, proč stát ráno z postele.
Jaký poklad si objevila na cestě ke svému Ikigai?
Já jsem si v průběhu Ikigai procesu dala ten největší dar v podobě svého času, který jsem přestala směňovat za pozornost vůči jiným a dala si ji sama sobě. A tím zářivým pokladem, který jsem na konci té cesty objevila, tak byl pocit vlastní sebehodnoty, díky které jsem schopná se sama za sebe postavit a obnažit se třeba před celým světem.
Ty poklady, které jsem našla po cestě při tom Ikigai procesu, byly úplně jiný než to, pro co jsem si přišla. Ale vlastně takový ten vnitřní klid a sebejistota, sebehodnota a to, že vím, kdo jsem a kam směřuju, to pro mě bylo to nejdůležitější, co jsem si z toho Ikigai procesu odnesla.
Bylo to pro mě asi uznání té mojí životní cesty. Toho, že opravdu už jsem toho zvládla hodně, že je na co být hrdá, že díky i těžkým zkušenostem jsem tím, kým dnes jsem, a vedlo mě to ke zpomalení. Ke zpomalení a tomu, že už nespěchám. A to vnímám jako to největší bohatství. Nebo takhle, že už tolik nespěchám u mě, pro někoho pořád jsem hodně zrychlená. A další poklad, který jsem našla, je definování mýho Ikigai v rodině. Protože tam jsem si nebyla vlastně jako jistá, kde jsou ty moje silné stránky. Jak nepadat do té role vlastně, která je nám tady jako nadefinovaná, ale dalo mi to ten směr, jak si ji vytvarovat, nebo vlastně jako vytvořit tu roli, abych se cítila dobře a aby byla podle mě, aby kopírovala mě a já tam přinášela do té rodiny zkrátka ty moje dary a talenty.
Můj největší moment bylo v podstatě to, že jsem si uvědomila, že dělám spoustu věcí, které nejsou naplno moje Ikigai, ale splňují ty aspekty třeba z 95% nebo z 90%. A že vlastně mám život naplněný takovýhlema věcma, které jsou vlastně skoro super a skoro úplně je miluju, ale není to prostě to. A vlastně já jsem prošla tím procesem a hodně jsem si potřebovala dovolit opustit tyhle ty věci, které jsou skvělý a skoro Ikigai z těch 90 nebo 95% a uvolnit místo těm, který vlastně já jsem ještě nedělala, nežila, ale vlastně jsem cítila, že tam je těch 100%, že tam je prostě ten průnik těch všech oblastí a že tam jako fakt se proto tetelí to moje srdce. Takže to byl pro mě jako nejdůležitější moment, kdy já jsem si uvědomila, že žiju skoro svoje Ikigai a že to nechci. A pak další důležitý moment bylo to vlastně opustit ty věci, které jsou skoro. Neznamená to, že bych je nedělala teďka vůbec, ale jako hodně se mi eliminovala a udělala jsem prostor pro to 100% Ikigai.
Ale pro mě nejdůležitější bylo uvědomění si toho, které hodnoty jsou pro mě důležité a které chci přinášet světu, protože to je to, co mi potom dá možnost žít život opravdu tak, abych k něčemu byla, abych přispívala k tomu, že svět je hezčí místo a právě za využití toho, že se můžu vztahovat ke svým hodnotám, že je mám definované, že vím, co pro mě znamenají, vím, co o nich chci říkat, jak o nich chci mluvit a jak je mohu předávat dál, tak to je za mě ten největší poklad, který mi Ikigai přineslo.
A zásadní moment, nebo nejdůležitější moment pro mě asi bylo to, když jsme do toho poznávání sebe sama zapojili i ty lidi kolem nás. A bylo pro mě velmi přínosný zjistit, že vlastně ty lidi kolem mě na mě nejvíc oceňují to, co dělám úplně přirozeně. Jo? To, co se ani vůbec nemusím nějak snažit dělat, ale dělám to vlastně úplně přirozeně a oni si toho na mě jakoby nejvíc vážejí. Tak to pro mě byl obrovský aha moment. A vlastně mi došlo, jak s tím můžou dál pracovat, ať už s klientama, ve vztazích, prostě všude.
Objevila jsem svou jedinečnost, objevila jsem právě ty barvy. Zdaleka jsem nevěděla o všech odstínech, které se ve mně ukrývaly a objevila jsem, prožila jsem vlastně takový krásný uvolnění a přijetí právě toho, kdo opravdu jsem a že autenticita je vlastně dar, který já chci dávat sobě i druhým a je to podle mě to nejlepší, co jsem skrz ten celý proces a to sebepoznání dala sobě a budu dávat i světu.
Já jsem si tím procesem prošla 2krát, vlastně s ročním odstupem. A poprvé to pro mě bylo hodně o tom stoupnout si do toho slova nebo do toho pojmu já. Co já mám ráda, vůbec zaměřit tu pozornost na sebe, kterou jsem měla předtím hodně orientovanou ven a na druhý lidi a jejich potřeby. Takže pro mě ten posun v tom prvním Ikigai vlastně coachingu byl o tom já. A po tom roce to pro mě bylo hodně o tom si vykročit na tu svoji cestu, po který jsem dlouho toužila a vlastně tam najít opravdu takovej ten pocit, který ve chvíli, kdy přijde zavrávorání, nějaký strach nebo nějaká obava, tak se k němu vrátím a řeknu si, to je ten zdroj té síly a to mi stojí za to jít dál.
To, když jsem si vlastně ujasnila, jaký jsou moje hodnoty. Jo, že já jsem jako tušila, že třeba respekt je jedna z mých hodnot, ale že třeba i jako síla, moudrost, hravost a že to je vlastně jako propojení dohromady a že vlastně ty hodnoty mi je nějaký můj filtr, přes který já se můžu dívat na to, jaký aktivity dělám, když se rozhoduju, jestli ten biznis a toho klienta vlastně vezmu nebo ne. Tak když se na to podívám brýlema těch hodnot, tak vlastně vždycky vím, jestli ano, jestli je to ten můj srdcový klient, jestli je to ten člověk, se kterým do toho mám jít, nebo ne. Takže objevení těchto hodnot a vůbec jako pojmenování, to pro mě bylo jako wow.
Já jsem tam přicházela jako psycholožka, která je hodně jako usazená v těch výzkumech a používá to ve své práci. A začala jsem si uvědomovat, že mnohem víc zapojuju právě příběhy do toho, co dělám a uvědomovat si to, že ty příběhy mě i vedou tam, co chci dělat. A nakonec jsem si pojmenovala, že vlastně objevuji a i vyprávím příběhy o naději. To je pro mě hodně důležitý. Já si občas dělám legraci z toho, co možná prožil někdo podobného ročníku jako já, že jsme všichni oplakali koně Artexe v bažinách smutku. A ve filmu Nekonečný příběh a ten právě tu naději ztratila. Ve mě to jako hluboce se to do mě zapsalo, co to dokáže, když tu naději ztratíme. A je pro mě důležité ji hledat, i když se ztrácí a pomáhat nebo spíš jako společně objevovat. Nepotřebuji mít tu roli pomocníka s mými klienty. Že i v tom, co si jako vyprávíme nebo sdílíme, se často ta naděje začne objevovat. Je to třeba takový tichý hlásek, tak mě moc těší ho nechat rozeznít.
Já nechci, ať to zní jako klišé, jo? Ale ono se to těžko popisuje slovy. Ale já jsem si vlastně poskládala střípky sama sebe, který jsem objevovala na své životní cestě a dala jsem je do jednoho celku a ucítila jsem, kdo vlastně doopravdy jsem. Ale těch pokladů dává za mě Ikigai proces nespočet. Jak když třeba se podívám ještě do té podnikatelské roviny, tak pro mě bylo nesmírně obohacující to, že já jsem si tam vlastně přišla na to, že mám v hlavě nějakým způsobem definovanou profesionalitu, ale že to úplně nekoresponduje s mojí autenticitou. Takže já, když jsem byla profesionální, tak jsem se ale necítila být autentická. A když jsem byla autentická, tak jsem se necítila být profesionální. Jo. Byl tam obrovský vnitřní rozpor a ten ve mně způsoboval tlak. Když jsem si prošla Ikigai procesem, tak já jsem si tohleto krásně vyladila.
Asi to, že ty věci okolo mě, nebo tak, jak jsem teď já v tuhle chvíli, je to moje Ikigai. A že vlastně se nepotřebuju vůbec nikam hnát, nepotřebuju někam běžet za nějakým jako velkým cílem, ale že teď a tady je to pro mě moje Ikigai.
Když jsi ve stresu nebo pod tlakem, čím se nejrychleji uvolníš?
Já jsem tanečnice, takže tak v 90% mi funguje jakýkoliv pohyb, tanec. Vím, že vždycky mi udělá dobře, když mám trošku víc prostoru vyjít do přírody. No a někdy prostě potřebuju si zakřičet a to mi taky funguje k tomu prvnímu uvolnění.
Je hudba a mám svoje různé Ikigai playlisty a podle toho, co vlastně potřebuju zrovna, jestli se uklidnit nebo naopak nabudit, tak používám vlastně tu hudbu k tomu.
Zpěv. Ne, že bych teda jako uměla nějak zpívat, ale mě fakt neuvěřitelně pomáhá, když si pustím fakt nahlas svoje oblíbené písničky a můžu nahlas jakoby zpívat. Nevím teda, co na to říkají sousedi, ale mě to strašně pomáhá se uvolnit.
A opravdu za mě je to prostě ten vědomý dech a dát si takovou jako stopku a pak začít znova.
Si určit minimum věcí, které potřebuju zvládnout, který je opravdu nutný a to ostatní v tu chvíli zastavit. Pomáhá mi lehnout si na zem a uzemnit se, opravdu dýchat do podlahy, ideálně někde do trávníku venku a jenom tak odevzdávat tu tíhu celého těla do země a vlastně se i o tu zem opírat a cítit tu oporu a že na to nejsem sama.
Těch činností, co mi pomáhají, je samozřejmě víc, ale kdybych měla dát třeba konkrétní příklad nebo tip, tak před moderováním nebo vystoupením na veřejnosti mi hodně pomáhá nahlas si sprostě zanadávat, i když normálně sprostě nemluvím, ale tady použiju hlavně hodně takový ty peprný slovíčka s R a tím, jak to řeknu i nahlas a jak to slyším, ten svůj hlas, jak to říká, tak mě to většinou tak rozesměje, že získám nadhled a jsem v úplně jiný takový pohodový energii.
Mně pomáhají takové mini návraty domů z toho vnějšího světa dovnitř sebe. Takové kratičké chvíličky spočinutí v tichu, sama se sebou a uvolnění se do toho přítomného okamžiku.
Pokud máte i vy nějaké tipy, jak se uvolňujete, tak určitě budeme moc rádi, když je s námi a s dalšími diváky nasdílíte ve facebookové skupině. No a na to, jaký měl přínos Ikigai proces, jsme se zeptali klientky Lucie.
No, můj největší přínos byl v tom, že mi to skutečně dalo ještě větší odvahu, protože moje mise, kvůli který jsem tady na této planetě, je mnohem, já bych řekla, že mě natolik přesahuje, je tak vysoká, že kolikrát jsem si říkala, ježišmarja, to nikdy nezvládnu, jo, ale je fakt jako, já mám chuť pohnout celou planetou a takže pro mě tam se objevila ta možnost, že bych fakt mohla. Takže mi to dalo to, že skutečně mi to dalo více odvahy udělat to, co chci. Takže tohle mě právě že zaujalo na tom, že to bylo skutečně jiný. Že to nebyla taková ta klasika, ale že jsme skutečně zkoumali mě, co mě baví, co mě zajímá, co já bych chtěla jako dát. Jo? Že to nebylo jako zeptej se svého, já nevím, svého já, nebo tak, jo? Že to bylo skutečně co já, ne co moje vyšší já, ale co já chci, co mně se líbí, protože to v sobě umím najít. Takže Lucka mi pomohla s tím, že na mě byla vždycky velmi příjemná. Jsem fakt jako šťastná, že na mě nezkoušela žádný triky nebo něco takového, protože to bych hnedka prohlídla. Ale řekla bych, jako byla perfektně profesionální, příjemná a chápající. Takže to mě bylo příjemný. Ikigai bych určitě doporučila ženám, které by chtěly zkusit něco nového, protože tady spousta různých coachingů, ať už NLP nebo podobně existuje, ale tohleto je zajímavé v tom, že to nejde jenom do směru biznesu, ale jde to skutečně do směru toho já, toho člověka. Když dělám Ikigai, tak mě to nemusí změnit nutně jenom práci, ale mě to může změnit skutečně i můj přístup k přátelům, i v partnerství a tak dále, že to jde až za ty hranice jenom jedné části života, což by mohla být třeba práce nebo třeba jenom partnerství. Skutečně to jde pod povrch a řeší to mnohem víc.
A jak to máte s Ikigai vy? Chtěli byste se přiblížit ke svému Ikigai? Tak si můžete udělat s námi takovou bleskovou, maximálně 15-minutovou výzvu. Informace k tomu máte tady pod videem. No a já se s vámi pro dnešek loučím a budu se těšit na zítra, kde se budeme věnovat tématu tady a teď a s Ondrou Nečasem, s naším hostem, si budeme hrát a objevovat. Tak mějte hezký den.